was born on St. Croix when it was part of the Danish Virgin Islands. But anyway, he got most of his education in Puerto Rico. And he asked, bless you, he asked one of his teachers, I'm learning all about the Puerto Rican culture, I'm learning about the white culture, but I'm learning anything about the black culture. When we use the term black here, we talk about anyone that can trace their culture back to Africa. So were you born in South Africa, South America, South Dakota, Mexico, Argentina? If your culture has its roots in Africa, then when we use the term black, we're talking about you. And the teacher told him that blacks had no history, they had no heroes, therefore there was very little there was nothing he could tell Arturo about blacks. So Arturo was offended by this, and he started to collect anything that he could on blacks. It could be birth certificates, death certificates, anything in writing, trinkets, magazine articles, because he was of the opinion that if someone took the time to take a picture of it or write about it, then it was important to them, therefore it was important to Arturo to have some proof that blacks do have a history. He continued collecting, and he moved to the United States, and he established his residence in Brooklyn. But before that, though, he got involved with a lot of other, he got involved with the Free Haiti, the Free Cuba movement, but they were more political than they were about teaching, and he was all about teaching and learning. As I said, he moved to Brooklyn, and he became the go-to guy if you want to know anything about black culture. It was commonly known, not in the United States, but international, that if you want to know anything about black culture, to go see Arturo Schomburg. And he would just supposedly, most of the time, lend it to the person, but sometimes he would not get it back. And you know that happens sometimes, you lend a person something, they forget that they borrowed it from you, they just decided to keep it. But anyway, one of the people that came to him was the New York Public Library. This was in 1924. They came to him and asked him and said, we'd like to purchase your collection. And they asked him how many he had in this collection, and he said about 10,000 artifacts. He was just guessing because if you like most folk, if you have something, unless you're very meticulous, you don't know how many you have of them. You said, I got a lot. But anyway, so they told him that we will give you $1 for every artifact that you have. And they gave him $10,000, and they bought the artifacts here to this library where we're standing now. Well, it didn't look like this then, but we brought it to this geographical location. And it was really just part of the New York Public Library system. It wasn't called the County Color, at that time it was called the Color Division of the New York, or the Negro Division of the New York Public Library. Yes.
Let me add something to what you were saying.
Yep.
Well, go ahead, say what you were saying.
I just wanted to ask, so this is not the original location of
Yes,
Arturo
yes.
Schomburg's?
Yes, this is the building. I'm just saying this didn't look like the.
Yeah.
But this is the original building.
Yeah.
This is, so he at one point was here
Yeah,
he
with
worked
here,
his
yeah.
Yes.
artifacts?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
The actual thing I want to add to you that during the time that that Schomburg material was actually brought here, it was during a period called the Great Migration. Yes?
I know about that.
And during the Great Migration, it actually was a period when blacks moved from the South and the Caribbean and Africa, and they were coming into Harlem. And Harlem during that time was a Jewish neighborhood. And so the library that you're standing in now, because this was the library at 135th Street, with all the blacks coming into Harlem, the librarians decided that with all these black people coming into Harlem, they need to have information so that they can learn about themselves. And so that's how that all came to be. I just want to say that.
Yeah, and just to add on, to piggyback that, it was really, it was started by some prominent blacks. One of them was Louise Latimer, and she was the sister of Lewis Lattimore. And if you know, Lewis Lattimore had the copyright on the filament for the light bulb. He was a very prodigious inventor. He has about 10 or 20 copyrights in his name. And a lot of blacks got together and said, we need to have a library of our own. And so that was the impetus for the Schaumburg Library. But the New York Public Library already had a branch here, but the blacks wanted to have their own library. And so from that 10,000 that the library originally bought in 1925, we now have over 9 million artifacts in our collection. We have the very famous, which you will see some of it later on. We have Jacob Lawrence paintings. We have Aaron Douglas paintings. We have Maya Angelou papers, Nat King Cole papers. And those are people that you may recognize, but then also we have papers to keep with Schaumburg's thought that if it's about blacks and it's original, then we want it as part of our collection. So you'll find papers in here by people going for their PhD, people visiting that are all over the world, because we are the largest repository of black data in the world. We can say that. And we just recently won the equivalent of the Oscar for museum and libraries, the National Medal for Museum and Libraries. And it was presented to the Schaumburg last week at the White House by Michelle Obama. We're one of only 10 institutions that won it this year, and so we're very proud of that. But we don't want people just to come here for an exhibition. We want them to come there for research. So anyone have any questions or anything? Hi.
So basically, he started all this because of a comment.
Basically, and this is all, he's not, I don't want to say obsession, but he just wanted to prove that, blacks do have a history. And I think that, he did this before he died, but his legacy, we're trying to carry on to say that blacks, and it also leads into this current exhibition, Black Lives Matter. Good, I'm sorry.
When, I know this is the original location, but when he was in his first location, is that still?
This is the first location.
Where you at?
Where we are standing now. It just doesn't look like this. It was a regular library that had racks and books and things like this here. But we're using that space now as a gallery. But when you first came here, it was racks and books up and down, and this is a townhouse on 2 or 3 different floors. So this is the original base. And it was just, literally part of a corner. His collection was put in a corner. Well, you can't imagine 10,000 books, but, that's the space that he took up. And as over the years, he kept adding to it, and they pushed out the regular library to another location, which is at the back of this building on 136th, which is the County Cullen branch, which is a regular library, and this became a research library. Okay. Any other questions? Any questions? Also, I just want to point out, and most of the material that I'm going over now, I've given to your teacher. And
There's a question over here actually.
Okay.
They're asking because they're being shy, but they
Don't be shy. Don't be shy. There's no such thing as a dumb question. Maybe a lot of dumb answers.
I was asked something in the library.
Huh?
I was asked something.
You have to move there.
He's concerned because in their minds, a library is like racks of books that you go
Exactly.
to, and so they're in a museum type of environment, and so they're not making the connection.
And a lot of people think that this is a museum because we have galleries and we hold exhibitions. But upstairs, there are the racks of books that you're talking about. But this is a research library, so the public doesn't have access to going around and picking out a book or anything like that. They can do that in the County Cullen branch, which is right behind this one. This is a research division, so if you want anything, you have to go downstairs, look in our database, or come in with and tell them that I'd like to see the Malcolm X paper. then you fill out a ticket. They'll send upstairs for it,
This is not
bring
all
it
the
down,
way in.
and you can
This is
actually
all the
touch
way in.
and feel it. Now, I'm sorry, I made that sound too easy.
Right.
You know, for the Malcolm X papers, you know. But say that you saw
You
an
can.
article or something, and they say it's only available at the Schomburg. You can come here and get
right
it.
here.
You can also do that for
I'm
the
at
Malcolm X
2.4.
papers, but you have to have some more credibility than a high school student like that. You have to, you know, because they're precious papers. You know, you can look at his Quran. You can see letters that he wrote, his bow tie and things like that. You can actually touch and feel these things, and that's what the best part, because it's still open to the public. Schomburg doesn't keep it from the public. They give you a set of white gloves to put on. You can actually touch and feel these articles. Hi, any other questions? No other questions? You want to add anything before we go to Langston Hughes?
No, I'll be fine.
Unfortunately, today you're not able to appreciate the Cosmogram. The Cosmogram is the center, right in the middle of the library. In fact, it connects the two buildings. This building here and the entrance that you were standing outside. There's a lobby in between, and in the Cosmogram, in that lobby, there is a floor sculpture, work of art, I should say, and it's done in reference to, named after Langston Hughes' first published poem, The Negro Speaks of Rivers. How many have you ever read anything by, what have,
Oh, I read the poem.
huh?
I read the poem.
What, the Negro Speaks of Rivers? Which one?
The one you just said?
Oh, that's it, The Negro Speaks of Rivers. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyone else read anything by Langston Hughes?
Yeah.
I see a hand back there.
Yes.
Go ahead.
What did you read? I'm sorry?
We read A Dream Deferred.
Oh, yes, Dream
A
Deferred.
Dream Deferred.
Yes.
Okay. It becomes a dried up raisin.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
Yes.
Huh? You read books? See, I'm glad he said that, because everyone thinks of Langston Hughes as just being a poet. But not only was he a poet, he wrote short stories, or children's stories, and he was a journalist. In fact, being a journalist got him accused of being a communist, because when he was approached by the Russian government to go, and him and a bunch of other writers to go over to Russia and produce a play, I believe. And when they got there and the project was done, Langston Hughes decided to stay over there, and he started writing articles and using his journalistic skills, writing articles from Russia, saying, well, communism isn't that bad. And you get free medical, you get free education, and so I don't know if you learned in your American history, there's a senator by the name of Joe McCarthy. Joe McCarthy was accusing a lot of people of being communists because, he felt that, and he also felt that, and one of the people that he was Langston Hughes. He was subsequently, as most of the people that Joe McCarthy accused of being a communist, he was acquitted of these charges. But the point that I'm drifting away from is that Langston Hughes was not only a poet, he was known as the poet laureate of Harlem. But he also had other skills that he wrote with Zora Neale Hurston, and he had a lot of plays that are lost because of his poetry. And another thing that was unusual about, he made money when he was alive. Not a lot of money, but he was making money. He was receiving a stipend, and he was making speeches, and so it wasn't. He made a lot more. Not he. His estate made a lot more after his death. But anyway, back to the Cosmogram. The Cosmogram, and you'll see it in the material that I gave your teacher, that in the center of the Cosmogram there's a symbol of a fish, and underneath that symbol